Is this a sign? No good vibes detected. Now we're getting like a significant way into the book. People listening to this who've read this series are going to be like, you're such an idiot for liking that character. Someone's going to end up dead. I just know. There's no way. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel, and welcome back to another video in my little reading series that I've been doing. For those of you who don't know, I am currently reading the Harry Potter series for the very first time, and I've been making these reading vlogs to document my thoughts and my experience of reading possibly one of the most popular book series. If you are not aware already, I have been making individual videos for each of the books in the Harry Potter series and documenting my entire reading experience of them. As of right now, there are currently 4 more reading vlogs up on my channel, which are obviously Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, and Goblet of Fire. If you haven't seen those already, I will link them in the description box, and you should go and watch them before you watch this reading vlog. Can be up to date and keep everything in order. So in this reading vlog, we are going to be reading Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Hopefully you have seen the other reading vlogs, but if you haven't, then you won't know. But I have something that I like to call big book fear. Typically as a reader, I gravitate towards shorter books or books that I would say that are average length, so about 300-400 pages. This is not 300-400 pages. In fact, it's actually double that. This is the biggest book in the series, I believe. I don't think Half-Blood Prince or Deathly Hallows are longer than this. But I'm feeling positive. I've just read Goblet of Fire and I'm coming out of that with a very positive experience, so I'm gonna remain positive for the reading of this book as well. Because I have big book fear, I am slightly intimidated going into this book because, I mean, it's a big book, like, it's huge. There's a lot of writing in here. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the other reading vlogs, I have actually enjoyed all of the books so far in this series. And I'm also feeling positive going into reading this book because now that I'm about to start this book, that does mean that we're over halfway through the series. We have 3 more books left to read in this series, including this one, and we've completed 4. So we're over halfway now. And I am actually really excited to start reading this book. So I'm gonna put my little bookmark in at chapter 1. But now I think we should just get into the reading vlog because we have a hell of a lot to get through in this video. I'm gonna assume we've got 800 pages, so there's definitely going to be a lot of content in this reading vlog, and I have a feeling it's probably going to be the longest of all of the reading vlogs in this series. I'm going to stop rambling at the beginning of this video and we're just going to get into the reading vlog. I'm sat a little bit further away because when I sit closer to you, the framing is like downlit. Would just like to clarify, the day that I'm filming this clip is actually the same day that I finished Goblet of Fire. So I have actually read today. I'm just not going to be reading any of this book today. If you're wondering why, it's because I've been wanting to do my nails for like about 2 weeks now, and I've been really engrossed in these books and really reading these books to the point where I just haven't found time to really do anything else. So because I've already read today and I actually finished Goblet of Fire today, I'm allowing myself time to do my nails. My plan is to start it tomorrow as I'm filming this. So I thought what I could do is, because I haven't started this book yet, I could give you my initial thoughts now so that you know that they're my real honest initial thoughts. So we're now officially over halfway in the series. I'm sure all of you are aware, but Order of the Phoenix is the 5th book in the series and there's 7. So we only have 3 books left to go in this reading series. Shocking to me, I wasn't expecting to get through these books so quick. Order of the Phoenix and Goblet of Fire are the biggest books in the series, I believe. I think this one's the biggest, and I think Goblet of Fire is the 2nd biggest. And even Goblet of Fire, I finished it in 5 days, which to some people might be a long time, but I am not a big book reader. I really do not gravitate towards big books, but obviously I knew in order to do this reading series, and to finish the series I was gonna have to admit my big book fear. Something I've noticed as well about reading big books is, I'm gonna try and do this without ruining anything for myself. Let me just flick to like a random page. When I'm reading, I feel like I can't hold them properly. Not really even with it. It has 38 chapters, which I think Goblet of Fire had 37, so we're kind of still on par, but obviously these have to be longer. There's like an extra 200 pages pretty much. Something I've looked at as well in these books, which I've never really paid attention to in a lot of books, is it tells you when they were first published, because obviously these are more recent editions. And this one, it says first published in Great Britain in 2003 by Bloomsbury. It's not really something I pay attention to much in books, like when they were actually published, but obviously reading this series later on, it is kind of nice to familiarise myself with when they actually first came out. And actually, 2003 was a significant year for me. That was when I actually got ill. I could not have read a book this size in 2003 after being ill, because I couldn't read. Well, for a period of time I couldn't read. I've spoke about it numerous times online. 2003 was actually the year that I had encephalitis. So something else that I've done with all of these books, as I've been reading them, is I've been reading the dedications, and I mentioned this on Twitter ages ago. It wasn't to do with this reading series, it was a while ago. I mentioned that I read dedications and acknowledgements because I'm nosy. Like, I just am. So I've been reading all of the dedications as well. So my initial thoughts going into this, when I first started this reading series, I was so worried for this book because of my big book fear. Honestly, going into it, I feel quite positive because I've really enjoyed all of the books so far. Also, when I asked on my Instagram story when I first started reading the series which book was people's favourites, a couple of people did say Order of the Phoenix. I've been thinking as well, when I've been doing these reading vlogs, there are a few things that I've wanted to mention that don't really fit in with any of the vlogs. Like, I was thinking to myself, oh, this book in the series has my favourite cover. This book in the series has my favourite, like, chapter headings, or like, you know, just really random stats. And I've been keeping track of, like, I read this book the fastest, this one took me the longest. You know, just random stats along the way. But I've not really had a place to tell them, because obviously as the series is going on, I don't know where people are going to pay most attention. So I don't know whether to do like a wrap-up video at the end where I talk about reading the whole series in general. I don't know, because I was actually thinking I haven't done a reading wrap-up video in general, not to do with this series but just about what books I've read. I haven't done one in general for quite a while, so I was like, oh, I could do a reading wrap-up, but then I was like, all of the books that I've read lately have been from this series, so maybe I should do a reading wrap-up but just about this series, and I can tell you, because obviously by then I'll have read all 7 books, I can tell you which book was my favourite, which one took me the longest to read, which one took me the shortest, you know, like I could tell you all these different stats. Even fun things like, this book has my favourite cover, this was my favourite character, this was, you know, just like a light-hearted wrap-up video is what I was thinking of doing. Let me know if you'd be interested in a reading wrap-up that probably will just include the Harry Potter books, but it would probably be a nice way to round off the series. I'll come back to you tomorrow probably when I'm going to start reading this book. I lost a nail this morning. I am actually, for the start of today, I am going to edit the Goblet of Fire reading vlog. I did make a start on this morning. I only read the first chapter, but I wanted to just get it started. Something that we've learnt so far is a woman who lives sort of in the same neighbourhood as Mr. and Mrs. Dursley Mrs. Fig. She's not all she appears to be, is she? But I'm gonna upload the footage onto my computer now and I'm gonna start editing the reading vlog. I don't usually sit here to talk, but I just thought I would come and give a few book updates. So I'm not very far into the book at the minute. I'm on page 39, which is chapter 3. So obviously I started reading this book today. Obviously it's difficult to say like I'm enjoying it, I'm not enjoying it, because I haven't really got into it yet. Let me have a look at my notes and then I can remember to tell you certain things. Okay, something I meant to tell you earlier that I think I forgot. In, I believe it was the Prisoner of Azkaban video, I gave you a list of predictions of people who I think aren't going to make it out of the series. I actually added someone to the list when I read Goblet of Fire. Well, when I finished Goblet of Fire. But I think I forgot to mention it in that video, so I'm going to mention it in this one. I'm adding to the list Arthur Weasley. Because I'm pretty sure at the end of Goblet of Fire they said, you know, because of Voldemort's return, they're going to get him to help at the Ministry of Magic and like all of this kind of stuff. And at the beginning of this book he's been in contact with Harry, trying to keep him safe. I just feel like he's in the firing line. Something else to mention is at the beginning of the book and the bit that I've read, the Dursleys have been properly introduced to magic. Obviously they were aware that Harry was magic, his parents were magic, but now they've been like properly made aware of it with the owls and the letters. Aunt Petunia received a howler, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't like a letter, which just said, "Remember my last." So Harry is thinking about it. I'm also thinking about it. Has she been in contact with the magic world before? Obviously, in a sense, she has, because they took Harry in when his parents died, and obviously they know what happened to his parents, even though they didn't tell him. They knew what happened, and she knew her sister was magic and like all of this kind of stuff. I'm questioning whether she's had more contact with that world than she lets on. Those are my thoughts as of right now. We're not very far into it, obviously, but we're off to a positive start, I think. So I just wanted to come into this reading vlog and just say, so as I'm filming these reading vlogs, they're actually uploaded on a little bit of a lag compared to when I'm actually filming them, and that's why I've been writing the dates on the screen for each of the days. I just wanted to come on here and say a big thank you to anyone who has interacted with any of these reading vlogs. I am a smaller creator, so I'm not expecting like masses of views or anything. However, the videos have turned out more popular than I was expecting. As I'm filming this, only the first two are up, but I've had some really lovely comments on both of the reading vlogs. I am actually going to upload the Goblet of Fire reading vlog now. And whilst I do that, I'm gonna read more of this book. I actually did read more of this book yesterday. Not a lot, but I read a bit. I'm on page 90, so if you've watched the other reading vlogs, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm almost at my 100-page theory. So we've actually been introduced to the Order of the Phoenix, and what that actually is, and they've been explaining to Harry what has actually been going off, but Mrs. Weasley is continuously reminding them that he doesn't need to know everything. I mean, we're getting into the book now, we're getting into the story, so the fact that I have to do this to my computer when I'm not here. I've clipped my fringe out of my face because my hair's greasy. Not that anyone asked. Book related things, that's what we're here to talk about. I didn't actually get any reading done yesterday because I actually wasn't feeling very well yesterday. On a positive note, I've woke up this morning and I actually feel fine. So maybe the sleep is what I needed. So I'm planning to read more of this today. Reference, because I don't actually remember what I've shared with you guys in this vlog, but I'm on chapter 10, which is page 165. And the reason that I wanted to talk to you is because chapter 10 is called Luna Lovegood. Now that I'm getting into Harry Potter and I'm actually enjoying reading the series, obviously I haven't finished it yet, but I'm actually enjoying it. I've been seeing on social media over the past couple of days as I'm filming this clip about the Mina Lima editions and how they're not being commissioned to finish the series. I saw the Mina Lima editions and I was like, if I get to the end of this series and I really like it, which I've really liked it so far, so if I get to the end of the series and I really like it, I would like to buy some special editions of the series. But my OCD is way too high for me to have copies by one illustrator and the rest of the series by a different illustrator. If they don't match, it will really bother me. But I was talking to my friend. It's actually the friend who encouraged me to start reading the series. I was talking to them yesterday and I said, you know, I would like some special editions. I'm gonna have to have a look. And my friend said, why don't you get house editions? And I was like, oh, that is actually something I could do, but I'd have to find out what house I'm in. And my friend was telling me what house they're in. They're a Hufflepuff, by the way, which like makes so much sense. Then I was on about it with my mum's partner and I said like, oh, my friend said like get the house editions, but I need to know what house I'm in. I believe I mentioned this in the reading vlog for Philosopher's Stone, that a friend of mine a while back said that they thought I'd be in Ravenclaw. I was talking to my mum's partner and didn't mention anything about this, but we were having this conversation and my mum's partner said, I think you'd be in Ravenclaw. Is this a sign? Like, will I be a Ravenclaw? I'd like to be a Slytherin. When I said that to my mum's partner was like, why do you want to be a Slytherin? And I was like, green's my favourite colour. Yeah, a few people now are telling me that they think I'd be a Ravenclaw. But the reason that kind of links to where I'm at in the book is my mum's partner then said, you give me Luna vibes, like not, I can't remember what she said specifically. She said something about you're not as like ditzy or something. I can't remember what she said. But she was like, have you got up to being introduced to Luna, like in the series? And I was like, funny you should mention that, because I'm actually on the chapter that introduces Luna. My mum's partner said I think she's a Ravenclaw, but could be wrong. See if Luna's in Ravenclaw, because if she is, maybe that makes a bunch of sense. Obviously I haven't read about Luna as I'm filming this clip. I'm about to read about Luna. Maybe I have to find out once I've finished the series. Maybe I have to find out what house I'd be in. Oh, he's moved. I was coming to show you what Twinny looked like because my phone's downstairs, so I can't take a picture of it, and he looked really cute. Twinny. I don't think I've ever sat here on the stairs for anything YouTube related, but I just thought I would sit here and give you a book update. But yesterday, was it yesterday? What day are we on? I read a couple more chapters of this book. Hello, Twinny! I believe I put a clip in before I read them and I was like talking about it. We've just been introduced to a brand new character, Luna Lovegood. She's a little bit ditzy and a bit away with the fairies, I get. I haven't read very far past the chapter about Luna or introducing Luna, so we've only briefly met her so far. But I also read the next chapter, which was the Sorting Hat's new song, and they've just gone back to Hogwarts. The Hat had a new song, and what was a bit more significant about this song compared to the others is they were talking about how the Sorting Hat this year seemed to be giving more kind of warnings and advice, and it hasn't really done that before. So that was interesting. Also, the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, we know by now, they do not have a good rep and they do not give a good vibe. Umbridge is her name, I believe. Yeah, she really does not give a good vibe, like at all. No good vibes detected. I want to sit outside to read it. I like to sit on the doorstep and read it. The other problem with sitting on the doorstep and reading is people try to talk to me and then I get distracted and then I completely lose my track of thought. So I'm hoping that I can get some reading done in peace. So over the past couple of days, ish. I have picked this book up numerous times and tried to read. My reading has been interrupted numerous times. Nothing dramatic, it's just meant that I haven't got as much read in the past couple of days as I would have hoped that I would. I don't remember when I mentioned it or which reading vlog I mentioned it in, but I'm sure I've mentioned at some point that when I read books, I'm a chapter to chapter reader. So I like to start a chapter knowing that when I sit down to read, I'm at least going to get to the end of it. Obviously, the more I get read, the better. But on a general sense, you know, I like to be able to read chapter to chapter. And my reading has been so interrupted over the past couple of days that I've had to do something that I really don't identify with as a reader. I've had to finish in the middle of a chapter, and it's really irritating the reader in me. It's not the way that my reading works. I like to read chapter to chapter so that it's all wrapped up whenever I read, and now I'm in the middle of a chapter and I can't remember what I've read. This is why it's good to be a chapter to chapter reader. If you've never tried it, you should probably try it because it works wonders for your reading. Okay, so I just finished reading the chapter that I was like halfway through. So I'm back on track for being a chapter to chapter reader. Harry is just about to do his first detention with Umbridge. After he was questioning her in the lesson. He wasn't the only one questioning her, they were all questioning her, but he bared the brunt of it because he had the most to say. But before I read a bit more of this book, I just wanted to mention something. So I know I've mentioned in a couple of the vlogs, I think I've mentioned it in this vlog, that I am not a big book reader. I have big book fear. Something that I wanted to mention is that I think my big book fear is playing out. I'm enjoying reading this book, like what I've read so far, I've really enjoyed, and I'm really anticipating what's going to happen in the book and all of that kind of stuff. But actually picking up the book to read is quite daunting because I know how much there is in this book. Because of the length of the book and how many pages there actually is, a lot of the time when you're reading, it feels like you're not really getting anywhere with it because there's just so much to read, which is progress, but it doesn't feel like progress because of how long I've been reading it and how far I've got. And I definitely think that comes back to the big book fear. Every time I pick up this book and I read, I'm really enjoying it. So it's not a case of like, oh, I feel like I have to read the book because, you know, it's halfway through the series and I need to read this one before I read the other ones. It's nothing like that. I am actually really enjoying the series and this book. I really hope that I'm going to be able to get on track with reading it and the big book fear is going to calm itself down. For reference of time frame, today as I'm filming this clip, in 2 hours time, the reading vlog for Prisoner of Azkaban is going to be going up. That's where I'm kind of at time frame wise. So I have plenty of time to read this book, but I want to really keep ahead of the reading vlogs and keep on track so that my editing and everything can be in perfect time. I have done more reading of this book this morning, and I actually said to myself when I was reading this morning I wanted to try and get past page 300, and I've managed to do that. Only ever so slightly, but it's still past page 300. So I'm on chapter 16, which is page 306. Now we're getting like a significant way into the book. Like, this is the bit that I've read, this is what I have left. It amazes me that anyone has so much in their imagination to create a book this size. But I have wrote down a couple of points that have come to my mind whilst I've been reading that I'm going to share with you. So one of the things that has stuck out to me in the recent little bit that I've read is Harry got his grade back from Snape, who said that he was marking it in terms of what it would be marked like in an exam to give them an idea, and he gave him a bad grade. I know that might just seem like a thing that a teacher would do, but there's something about Snape and how he treats Harry that just is so strange to me. And I know I've mentioned this in one of the previous reading vlogs. I don't think it's as simple as I was at school with your parents and I didn't like them. There's something about Harry in particular that Snape really doesn't like. I get the feeling that it's something to do with his parents' relationship, or something to do with his dad. Like, Snape was interested in Harry's mum, but Harry's mum went with James, and he's now taking it out on Harry. Also, where is Hagrid? It does keep mentioning Hagrid, and it does keep mentioning that Hagrid's not there, but they're not saying why. Dumbledore knows why, but no one's saying why. I'm not worried about him, because it said that Dumbledore wasn't worried about him, so I'm not worried about him. I do believe that he will be back. But as of right now in the story, Hagrid hasn't turned up for the new school year, so. And then the final thing that I just wanted to mention, I think it was in the Philosopher's Stone reading vlog, I was talking about favourite characters, and I said in that vlog that my favourite character right from the beginning was Ron Weasley, but that was because he was so easy to love because he's quite witty, and of the kind of characters that we were introduced to at the time, which obviously in comparison to the rest of the series, it really wasn't many characters, was the easiest to like. Like, Hermione was really annoying. Harry is just kind of there in a sense. Like, even though all the plot and everything's happening around him, I don't really feel any kind of attachment towards him. And then obviously there were the like tutors and professors and things. But Ron was my favourite, followed very, very closely by Hagrid. But as we progress in this series, I have a new favourite character. I don't know how, like, if people listening to this who've read this series are going to be like, you're such an idiot for liking that character. I think as of right now, as I'm filming this clip, and as I'm where I'm at in the series, I think my favourite character is actually Sirius Black. But I can't put my finger on why. I'm sat in like almost the same place that I was yesterday. I'm currently on page 408, which is chapter 21. I am 51% of the way through, so we are now officially over halfway. So some of the things that have kind of caught my attention and that I wanted to mention. One of the things that I've noticed quite a bit in this book, and it's got him into trouble a couple of times, is that Harry has a very short temper. The next thing on my list is, we've just heard about the Room of Requirement, and the Room of Requirement sounds quite nice to me. The idea that there's a room that people can't access unless you need it. That's one of the things in the magical world that is like really sticking out to me. I know I mentioned before that there were certain words and spells that I liked. Speaking of the Room of Requirement, so in the chapter where they actually go to the Room of Requirement, I'm trying to explain it without like spoiling it for anyone who hasn't read it. Obviously they have to do it secretly. Harry is using the Marauders map to keep an eye on the different professors and different people in Hogwarts so that they won't get caught. Which is fine, that makes sense, but the one thing that didn't make sense to me, and maybe like I've missed something, I've skimmed over it, I don't know. I thought he didn't have the Marauders map anymore. I was pretty sure in the last book he had it confiscated. Have I missed like when he got it back? He's talking about Death Eater scars and how they burn when they are gonna join Voldemort. That's kind of how they know like Voldemort's kind of calling for them, I guess. Does this link to his scar burning? Because he's talked a lot about his scar and how he used to feel it burning when Voldemort was like angry, getting his power back, and now he believes he feels it when he's satisfied or like feeling some kind of positive emotion as well. Could the two be linked? Because he got the scar from Voldemort. So could the two be linked? And then the final thing that's on my list is something that is really bothering me is every single time I hear or read ahem from Umbridge, like it is grating on my brain. I know that's like the purpose and it's doing a very good job. Also, I didn't write it in my notes, but I was worried for Hedwig when she came back and she was all dishevelled. The plan today is to read more of this book. I've just got up, it's like first thing in the morning, so I'm going to drink my cup of tea and I'm going to read more of this book. I did say that I wanted to get it finished by Sunday and today's Saturday. I am feeling really positive that I am just over halfway through this book. I'm also feeling very positive of how much I got read yesterday. So I said I wanted to finish this book on Sunday and today is Monday. I did not get this book finished yesterday. However, I'm on page 601. The book is 800 pages, so I have 199 pages left of this book. Before I get into reading the rest of the book, I am just going to talk to you about some of the things that I've kind of picked up on that I've read recently that I haven't spoken to you about. He's been learning to kind of close off his memory. Snape's been helping him with that. And on one of the occasions where Snape was trying to see into Harry's memories in order to learn him to like close them off, it sort of backfired and Harry could see Snape's memories. So maybe that's telling us a little bit about why Snape is how he is and why he turned out the way he did. And then the second thing is, while Snape was out of the room, Harry looked into the Pensieve and he could see the memories that Snape was kind of removing that he didn't want Harry to have access to. So if Harry could see his memories, these were all the ones that he wanted to remove before Harry had a chance to see them. But Snape went out of the room and he looked into the Pensieve and he could see Snape's memories, and he saw a memory of Snape at school and his dad wasn't being very nice to him. Not Snape's dad, Harry's dad, because Harry's parents were at Hogwarts at the same time as Snape. And the person who kind of stuck up for him a little bit in some ways was actually Harry's mum. So this supports my theory that Snape actually had feelings for Harry's mum, and I think this is kind of where it all started and stems from. And that's why Snape treats Harry how he does, because Harry's dad was like mean to him, but then on the flip side, Lily was kind of nice to him in some ways, but then she chose James, so I feel like this is where we're kind of getting at with it. 199 pages from the end, so this jumper on because it's a little bit chilly. I'm not sure if you can hear the cooker. I'm just making myself something to eat because I'm a little bit hungry. I have my book here I'm on page 672, so just over 100 pages from the end. They've just been doing their exams and Harry has seen Voldemort go for Sirius. And if Sirius doesn't make it out of this book, I'm gonna be so upset. She's come to sit with me. And they've also just seen Umbridge and a bunch of other people, I assume, who work for the Ministry, or work for Fudge. They've just gone after Hagrid. Yeah, so they've just gone after Hagrid. Hagrid's done a runner. They think he's gone to wherever Dumbledore is. Surprisingly, I have more of a liking for McGonagall than I thought. I didn't really have a dislike of her, but I just thought she was just going to be one of those characters that you're aware of in the story, but just kind of a passing character. When she got caught in the firing line, I was quite concerned and quite worried for her. So I'm really rooting that she's going to get better. I'm just reading a little bit further into the book. I've only read a couple of pages since the last time I spoke to you. When Harry was talking to Ron and Hermione and he was saying that he needed to find out what was happening with Sirius, but there was no one at the school he could tell because everyone was gone. Like Dumbledore was gone, Hagrid was gone, Professor McGonagall was gone. I was questioning why he didn't go to Snape. And I know that like they don't really get on and all of that kind of stuff, but the way that he was talking about there's no one left from the Order, and I was like, where's Snape gone? Surely Snape's still there, because it hasn't mentioned anything about him. And then I just got to the point in the chapter where Umbridge tells them to go and get Snape when she's punishing Harry, and he realises, oh, actually, I could have gone to Snape. So now I'm questioning how this is going to play out, because they're getting Snape to come because Harry's being punished. He's the character where I'm a bit confused by, like, well, I'm not confused, but like, is he going to help? Or is he going to side with them and punish him? It's also making me think, is this going to be kind of a turn in their relationship as like a teacher and student, or as two people who have a very loose connection to each other? I don't think that they're gonna like start liking each other, but is Snape gonna be, that's the dog, is Snape gonna be a bit more kind of overt about the fact that he wants to help him? I don't know. Or is he gonna pretend to go along with it, like he's gonna pretend to go along with punishing him, but he's secretly gonna help him? I don't know. I also feel like because of Snape and Sirius's background with each other, he's also going to be very reluctant to help him, so that door's very squeaky. Harry's telling Snape in code what's going on. And now I'm going to read the rest of this. I am on page 691, which is chapter 33. And Hermione's just lied to Umbridge about who they were trying to contact and what they were doing, and you know, the reason why they're being punished. I have a theory that Hermione is gonna walk Umbridge into the forest. I'm trying to explain this without like ruining it for anyone who hasn't read it. I mean, obviously my theory might not be correct, but my theory is that Hermione is gonna use that as the this is what we were doing type of thing, when in reality it's not what they were doing. Someone's gonna end up dead. I just know someone is not gonna come out of this book. I just have a really awful feeling about it. There's no way. Is he really gone? we're three chapters from the end. Sirius might be gone. We're on page 743, so we've got 57 chapters, 57 pages left, so let's find out what's happened. I don't know if this is something that we're gonna find out, but it just occurred to me that, like, Harry went looking for Sirius and he tried to get Snape to help, and Snape said he had no idea what he was on about. The kids went to look. The adults turned up, but one of the ones who isn't there is Snape, and I'm wondering if Snape sent the others to go find them, and because he knew that they were in trouble. Because even Dumbledore's there, and Dumbledore did a runner. And if Sirius is really dead, that's actually like that's gonna ruin my day, actually, to be honest with you. Snape did send them. So he did understand his message. He was pretending that he didn't understand his message, and then he contacted them to let them know that something was going on. The final chapter. This book is traumatizing. Finished. I'm not really going to talk to you all that much right now about the book, because obviously I will be doing my kind of wrap up at the end like I have done in all of these videos. I'm a little conflicted where to put this book and what to rate it, because I really enjoyed the plot and the storyline and all of that kind of stuff. Even though I've finished it and I've read it and I've completed 800 pages of a book, it has not cured my big book fear. I feel like the thing that's stopping me rating this book high, with like no questions asked, is the length of it. I'm sure there's plenty of reason why it ended up being this length. I did enjoy it, and I am really glad that I read it and got through it. I'll let you listen to my little outro. So that is it. That is the reading vlog for Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Now I'm going to give you my kind of quick wrap up like I have been at the end of all of these videos. Overall, I ended up giving this book 3 stars, and this is probably the book that I have been the most conflicted with when it comes to my rating and review of it. I gave it 3 stars purely for the plot. I really enjoyed the plot. I thought it was really gripping, and I was really anticipating the entire time what was actually going to happen in this book. Big book fear did not escape me, and for me personally, this book was just too long. I think I've discovered from reading this book that the reason that I don't gravitate towards big books is because my memory just doesn't allow it. Like, I get really lost in what I've read so far in the book and trying to keep up with it, and I genuinely do think it's just because I've got like a bad memory with things like that. The death in this book was not enjoyable for me. He was my favourite character. I actually had a conversation with my mum's partner when I finished this book, and I was like, oh my god, I've finished it, the characters died, and my mum's partner was like, yeah, you don't get over that. Like, And he was not on my list of predictions for characters that were going to die. I guess he should have been, because he is kind of like an obvious choice for a stab in the heart, really, isn't he? I just realised there's a box of tissues literally behind my head. As I've mentioned in this video already, don't forget to go and watch the other reading vlogs if you haven't already, although it would have made sense to watch them once and then come and watch this one. And there will also be 2 more reading vlogs coming up. I can't believe we're almost at the end of these reading vlogs. Like, even though I'm reading Harry Potter years after it's come out, because I've been making these reading vlogs, I kind of feel like I'm still getting the same anticipation and the same feeling of it's almost over, because I've really got myself into a routine of making these vlogs. But thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you liked it. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, stay up to date with all of my uploads, and I shall see you in the next reading vlog. Bye guys! And in today's reading vlog we are going to be reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.